In about 3 minutes, it'll start probably-ish. Hope my voice sounds okay. I didn't check audio levels, I'm the worst. Oh, Mordau is amazing. I love it. Boom, bam, jam. Hey, how's it going? I've chucked the video of Procedural Planets V2 in the background for now. Probably change it up for Squadron 42 stuff or some of the other videos in a bit. I have some music in the background from Pedro Camacho. So this is the Arccorp theme. And see, look, we're getting production costs when I chatty stream. So if you'd like to ask a question, and to make it easier for me to sort of like pick it out, put question in brackets, it's an Ask Me Anything sort of. So, I mean, I know quite a bit about Star Citizen. I'm quite good at referencing it. About YouTube, about my own channel, BoredGamer, about mental health. You can ask me anything. We have a chat about it, but obviously these focus more on the Star Citizen sort of topics. And I do want to get some more of a bit of a conversation on the go about certain things. I'm fine for people asking questions. I'm fine for people having negative opinions on Star Citizen's development process or the game or whatever. That's all good. That is genuinely part of the development, and it's good to talk about that sort of thing. Tell me if the music is too loud or too not loud or in between. I'll reduce a little bit just in case. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about 3.5.1. As much as we don't know much about it, but we know it's going to go to Evocati and stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll sort of like link in the 300 series and the new customization stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that again. We can talk a bit about 3.6. We can talk about things that are broken with 3.5. What's the title? I've got a title, I think, of this. What do we call it? What's going on? Probably should know what I've tweeted out. Sub perks as well. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So future sub perks, because they're changing the voluntary subscription program, and I wanted to talk about some possibilities for that, but also talk about stuff that I think is things they should avoid, because I do think the next controversy with Star Citizen is going to be to do with sub perks. Let me just tell you that as a prediction. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. If people want to talk about the Forbes article or anything like that as well, we can chat about that. But how is everyone doing? Is everyone good? I hope they are. I hope they're having a great start to the week of the 20th of... is it May already? Oh my god. 3.6 next month. So end of next month, we're hoping to get 3.6 live. There's quite a lot going in that should, hopefully, fix any problems that aren't catered for by 3.5.1. Now, any problems is a bit too broad, I suppose, because that's not going to happen. But the more major problems, the flight model needs to get a bit more, you know, in line with the intent. They need to balance all the ships. They need to balance all the weapons. They need to get the auto gimbals all working properly. Because at the moment, 3.5 is not in a great state. It's one of the worst patches we've had for bugs and things breaking for a long time. And it's because they added a load of stuff and there's been problems. They're the very limit of their server tech. They are pushing a new flight model. They're so many things they need to finish off with the AI that isn't finished. Just see one of my monitors is on the wonk. Oh, Robert Johnson, I love your face. Here's your regular payment from a CIG sock puppet now. F off. Oh my god. If anyone wants to pay me to tell me to fuck off, they are more than welcome. $100, that'll do it. Thank you so much. You are a scholar and a gent. So, Robert just seems to constantly pump money into my channel, and you don't need to, but thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. I always feel sort of like I have a level of guilt when people chuck money at me regularly. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. It's what I'm here to do. I'm here to generate money. I run a Star Citizen fan channel on the YouTube, and its goal when I'm producing YouTube videos or content or whatever is to produce money, is to make money for myself so I can continue to do that and potentially expand into other stuff as well, but it's always going to be more of a core focus on Star Citizen. Potentially some VR, potentially some other games on stream, and if anything along the way becomes amazing, like, oh my god, this is awesome, then I'd probably do some content on that. I'm going to be hiring a full-time member of staff soon to basically do what I do with me, but slightly more on the editing side. So, yeah, sorry, I sort of went off tangent there, but thank you very much. It genuinely is appreciated. I love your face. When are aim pips getting fixed? Now, there's lots of combat problems and lots of flight model problems in 3.5. It's potentially, they could be fixed to 3.5.1. We know that there's problems with convergence of weapons. We know there's problems with pips of weapons and ESP. You can mitigate a lot of that by making sure you've got all your sort of like, make sure look ahead mode's off. Make sure that you've got, if you're using fixed weapons, use fixed weapons. Stuff like that. There's a couple of shortcuts you can do to make sure your ship is in the most appropriate mode to sort of like semi-mitigate some of that. But obviously there's still problems. I don't know when they're going to be fixed. Obviously it has to be a priority. 3.5.1 would be my hope. If not, then 3.6. It's something that you do need to sort of like poke CIG about a bit, but I'm sure they have to be aware that's one of the most major problems, right? Has ever evolved from an egg into a potato, but I think I'll be a bit of both. I love Modao. I think it's one of the great games that I've played recently. Thoughts on when I think the Merchantman will be released? Well, assuming that the Banu Defender is released in 3.6, which it should be, that they'll probably give us a little bit more of a better idea of timescale. I would expect it towards the end of next year. That's when I'm expecting the Merchantman. Quite a complex ship. It's a big ship. It's going to have shops and stuff like that on it. So, I mean, that probably won't be functional. Probably won't be functional when it first releases, but they could be. We are going to have physicalized inventories and local inventories soon, so they should be able to do shops and stuff like that. But I suspect they would get the ship done and then add that functionality on later. But I think as early as end of next year. I may be playing some Star Citizen as well. If people want me to showcase anything in particular, we can fuck around in Arccorp or whatever. Do they still plan to delay the Q3 patch to CitizenCon? By the time CitizenCon is over, it will almost be time for 3.8 Evocati, rather than 3.6 as you stated. It's okay. That is a typo, I assume. Yeah, so this is a good question. So typically, the Q3 patch, which would be 3.7 this year, they sort of said, oh, we're sort of going to plan to release them around CitizenCon, these Q3 patches. CitizenCon is normally on the 10th of October, so a Q3 patch would have been end of September if they did it chronologically without linearly, without CitizenCon being there, but delaying it like 10 or so days seems reasonable for CitizenCon, right? Yeah, but CitizenCon is at the end of November this year, and that would put it within a couple of weeks, potentially, of the 3.8 release. Now, there's multiple things that could happen here. They could have it so that 3.7 comes out at the end of September, when it would linearly come out, and they just ignore CitizenCon for the purposes of releasing a patch. Or they could release a 3.7.5 patch or something like that at CitizenCon as well. So they have some of the patch, most of the patch, and then some more at CitizenCon. That wouldn't be a terrible idea. It's possible that they push it all back, that 3.7 patch, to CitizenCon, and then have a very small or minor update to put it up to 3.8 for the end of the year. Someone also said that there's a possibility that they just push the two patches into one larger patch, which is also a possibility. I think that would anger some people, just because that's not what they were promised, if you see what I mean. So there's a lot of stuff with Star Citizen that causes polarization, and we can talk about the community to a degree at some point, because come to understand some things that the Star Citizen is seen by people that interact with it in certain ways as toxic or whatever, but it's not toxic, in my opinion. The Star Citizen community is the best community I've been part of, okay, by far. I love it. I love my community. I think my community is fucking amazing, and my community is just anyone that watches my videos. You guys are amazing. Thank you. But it's the thing with the Star Citizen community is it's polarized, extremely so, at the two ends. And those are the people that you typically see being angry or so like extremely saying extreme defensive of Star Citizen. Not our duty to defend Star Citizen. We don't need to defend it, and we can criticizing it to a certain degree and talking about it and explaining it to other people. That's all fine. But obviously the extreme trolls and stuff, they are part of the community. They're just, cunts. That's fair enough. That's my opinion on the matter. But yeah, sorry, I sort of like went off on a tangent there. But we'll get this on the stream. But yeah, I think that we'll have 3.7 released at the end of September. That's my expectation. Isn't necessarily right. Considering the delays, what is your confidence in the Squadron 42 beta release? So I don't expect the beta release will be released to people, okay? So when they have a beta, I suspect that only Evocati, potentially, at some point in that beta will get access to it before the game goes live, okay? I don't think there's going to be a beta release. At the moment, they plan to be in a beta phase of the game at the end of Q2 2020. I think that's a possibility. I do think they'll get delayed by at least 1 quarter with that. So I think it's more likely Q3 2020. And I think it's very possible that Squadron 42 will be released in 2020. And I have been saying that since 2016. That it will be released that year, then next year, then next year. So take that with a pinch of salt. With VTOL coming in soon, do you think it'll make mining more difficult with having to focus on hovering in Atmo? No, because you could just land. It'll make mining slightly different. It definitely will make it different. But you could choose to land. I mean, originally we've seen the first sort of like videos on that prospector were with it being landed. Just seen your massive payment to me again. Oh, Summer Yeti as well. Summer Yeti, you've chucked money at me. What was I saying to you on? I was talking to you on Discord earlier, but I can't remember what I was saying. I love you. I think I was saying I love you. Or something about Brian Blessed punching a polar bear. I get confused. Oh, you legend, thank you so much. And Sinister the Sinner subscribed on Twitch Prime as well. Oh, loads of people have just donated on Patreon. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. As I said, I feel guilty about it, but only to an extent of, it's sort of like a smug guilt. Thank you. Oh, you legends. Appreciated. Greetings from Orlando, Florida. How sexy is the 890 though? Yeah, it looks great. It's a proper party ship. It's going to be great for content. I mean, the reason I bought one is because I went, people are going to want to watch videos made in this ship. The ship doesn't actually have to do much. I can use it for B-roll and background and social, and we can run the podcast from it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff I want to start doing in-game. Star Citizen is at an annoying stage. 3.5 was a step back for playability for me. Lots of technical steps forwards, and hopefully 3.5.1 or 3.6 will help fix that. But it was a step back for being able to sit down and play with my mates. Unfortunately, quite genuinely. Because I was planning on doing lots of in-game content now. Also, Zin has had terrible problems, is the girl I'm going to be employing to work with me full-time. She's moved into a new house, and the house was basically destroyed by the last tenants, unfortunately. So they've been having to redo the house. They've had to change all the floors and carpets and redecorate and paint all the walls and try and get the smell of dog piss out of the house. It's been really rough for them for the last month. But so that's pushed me back a little bit. But I want to start playing Star Citizen regular again and not having to rely on other orgs to give that content to me. Because I feel that that's a little bit unfair. There's a lot of great orgs out there that have produced content and had me along, and I've been making videos on that, and I was thinking I should be doing this as well. So let me I'll go through the rest of the questions quick that are there, and then I want to talk about 3.5.1 stuff more specifically. Computer blades for turret control, time frame still happening, etc. So yeah, that's still the plan. You're going to be able to put in some ships with the correct slots. You're going to be able to put in AI modules that will control manned turrets with an AI module. That's my understanding of it anyway. I believe it's going to be based on your computer slots for your ship. There'll be other things going on there as well. And yeah, you could have a hammerhead at least partly controlled by AI turrets that aren't even NPCs using those turrets. It'll be AI. And so as far as I'm aware as well, the hierarchy of how good something is the player is going to be the best possible choice, then an NPC crewman, then an AI module. And we don't know exactly how AI modules are going to work. It could just be quite simple in the fact that they're semi-derpy, so you can give them a couple of commands, sort of like shoot all incoming small unidentified or neutral / enemy objects or whatever. Maybe they will only shoot hostile objects of a certain size or things like that, so you can have them just on fighter watch or just on missile and torpedo watch. They're basically replacing the personal defense point stuff, personal defense system, but point defense system, that's the one. So this footage is from the B2 planetary tech demo. So this was the first time after the sort of like people to planet thing that we actually saw what they could do with their planetary tech. This was, their planetary tech works. Money, 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 so you can pledge more ships. I will not buy too much more in the way of ships for myself in the game. I am going to grab, I've grabbed a CV Tumbrel bike. I think that's the most effective bike. I'll probably grab a load of them for giveaways, and I'll grab loads more ships for giveaways. A lot of the stuff, I've got, like, I think probably $3,000 of ships on my account, and then like a javelin and stuff from the referral scheme. So I don't need anything else that I can't get in-game. Do you know what I mean? I mean, really, you don't need anything else more than a starter package. And if you desperately want another ship and you don't have the money for it, join an org that's got those ships. They need crewmen. You can't always be the captain of that ship. Or maybe you can be the captain of that ship at some point. Maybe someone wants to be the pilot and they've got that ship. But there's lots of ways around it. And you'll be able to grind these ships in-game as well. An individual person isn't really supposed to own a capital ship. They're supposed to be an org, sort of like collection of people going into that together. You'll be able to get all that stuff in-game. Yeah, so, yeah, 3.6, 3.5.1, and subscriber perks are the main things I wanted to talk about today, I think. Or at least topics that I want to cover. Do you know if there's any planned, any events planned for this? Gamescom, yes, I do. Here you go. I'm getting much better with my labeling of stuff. Let's go to desktop. So, Gamescom. CIG have got a dev presence there. I'm not sure if they've got any other presence beyond that and Bar Citizens. So you might see sort of like maybe a new trailer or something will come out around Gamescom. They might have something they do there, but at the moment, nothing official. It's just that on the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the 21st to the 23rd of August, which is when the Gamescom week is, they're having Bar Citizens there. So check that page out, and that'll give you all the information you need so you can follow on. That's enough info for you. Will you ever play Star Citizen with fans? God, yes. 100%. I mean, I look at stuff that Rexilla's doing and go, I wish I'd done that first, and I wish I was doing that now. But I genuinely am waiting for Star Citizen to be in a slightly better place. I'm going to be doing some tests. I have been playing a little bit of Star Citizen at 3.5 with some randoms, but I will do that on the stream much more regularly, especially when Zin's working for me. We'll get some stuff better organised, but we will just do rotations of fucking around and some more organised stuff. All of it will be relatively low effort, though. Okay, so all of it will be easy to run, easy effort, or at least most of it will. No, you genuinely do not need to throw money at me. I appreciate the kind words, but buy computer parts for yourself. Buy ships if you need to. If you've got loads of disposable income, by all means, chuck it at me. I will happily fucking take it. Santa Claus, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime subscription. Very much appreciated. Lots of follows today as well. Thank you. Perhaps they'll release 3.8 early. That is a possibility, Robert Johnson. I mean, it's something that I didn't really say that. But I suppose I talked about rolling 2 patches into one, but no. It's possible that they could release 3.8 early as a smaller patch, as a smaller feature set. Yeah? The 3.8 patches are typically quite small. Why does an arrow melt a Hornet's shield so fast? The Arrow is such a good ship at the moment. It seems every time I face off an Arrow, we hit each other around the same amount of times, yet his shields and hull take almost no damage. So, I think part of that to do with the Arrow is that because the servers are a bit fucked for PvP-wise, that because he's moving so fast, your shots aren't registering, but his are on yours, you to a greater degree because you're moving slower. I actually think it's a bit to do with that. Obviously, the stuff's not balanced properly yet, as well. So, I do think that an Arrow should be able to do some cool stuff against a Hornet. A Hornet is much more of a brawler and should probably be taking an Arrow down, in my opinion, when balanced correctly, given pilots of the same skill. Yeah? Because Hornet's got better stuff. It's got better equipment or whatever. That doesn't mean that an Arrow can't beat a Hornet, because that will happen as well. But in one-on-one engagements, that's what I see. And the Arrow is certainly a fucking great ship, but the Hornet is a military brawler. I dislike the term White Knight and Troll for some reason as polarizing opposites. I know that's basically what they are. I'd see them both as trolls, to be honest. Both ends of the spectrum are trolls. The latest answer to the call by Mike. Yes, he did, Mr. Mike Rod. I love Twerk. The problem is I'm always going to call him Twerk. I don't mean to. Yes, he's done some very good videos. Twerk wants a conversation. And that's a great thing to have in the community. A genuine conversation as well. He's not going to tell you what's right. He's not going to tell you what's wrong. He's going to tell you what he thinks. And he wants to hear other people's opinions. Great. Great man. I want to work with him a lot more in the future. He's very reasonable. Not our job. It's not our job. The community, people, content creators, the fans, the backers. It's not anyone's job other than potentially CIG's to defend the game. And the way that they should defend the game is by making it work. Giving us what we want, giving us what we ask for. To a degree. I mean, sometimes we're idiots. Obviously. Hey, Bored. Arrow versus Hawk. 1-on-1. Who will win? I actually think probably the Arrow in a PvP scenario. The Arrow is super powerful at the moment. It's super powerful. It's an interesting one. It depends on how the ships are loaded out and the skill of the pilots, obviously, massively. The Hawk A lot of the time, it's not going to be, ships aren't going to fight to destruction either. They're going to fight to being a bit disabled and then try and run. They're going to push each other away and stuff like that. Especially with the faster, lighter fighters. Do you think Squadron 42 is 2 years away? Okay, I massively disagree. Well, actually, maybe I don't massively disagree. I think it's a year and a half away. So, I don't massively disagree. Don't know why I just dismissed you like that, Crom. Maybe I shouldn't be such a white knight. No. Okay, I can see that's a reasonable time frame, but I think end of next year. I genuinely do. Do you think that CIG would bring in more backers and increase backer revenue if they fix some of the more annoying bugs that discourage people from playing Star Citizen? Would it be worth it? Yeah, I mean, the development is slower, in part due to the sort of like releasing a patch every 3 months, updating it and trying to polish it. And the problem is that they get it to quite a good state in PTU and then just sort of like rush the live release going out. There was the PTU 3.5 to me was in a much better state than 3.5 live was, because they added some extra bits to it, got them and then thought it was working, and then put it on the live servers. There was loads of broken things. So getting Star Citizen in a good state, making it a bit more mainstream, getting full persistence in there basically, and close to server meshing, no more resets. That's going to be massive for the game. It's potentially, I'm thinking that when they do their run up with lots and lots of advertising for Squadron 42, I do think the Star Citizen, when they start that, will probably be in a reasonable state. Just my expectation is they will make sure Star Citizen is not trash while they're doing the advertising for Squadron 42's release. And then we should start to see very good progress on Star Citizen after Squadron 42 is released. I'm not sure if CIG need particular redeeming at this stage. They've made mistakes, especially early on in their process and project with Star Citizen. I mean, they still make mistakes occasionally now, obviously. I mean, all companies do. They're trying to do a AAA game coming from indie roots and building a studio from scratch. It's a crazy project. It's crazy. And anyone that tells you they understand the project at any form fully is a liar. Even people from CIG, in my opinion. I mean, it's complicated, it's crazy, it's been an interesting ride. No one knew they were going to make that much money for a Kickstarter project. The money they're making now, yeah, it's good. It seems to be pretty good. They're making more year on year now than they ever have. But it's nowhere near the amount they need for when the game gets released. Like, the game gets released, they want to be selling millions and millions of copies of Squadron 42. They really want to be sort of like aiming between 5 and 10 million in the first like 18 months or whatever. So, I mean, the amount of money they've made to date is a splash in the ocean for potential for the future of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. You've got to remember that Squadron 42 is also, they've got Squadron 42 Episode 2 and Episode 3 sort of roughed out, planned in their heads as well. Then they want to release them. They said, the last thing we had on it is 2 years apart from each other. So when Squadron 42 Episode 1 comes out, 2 years time, bam, they want Episode 2. And they should be able to do it, because they don't need to build new tech for it, as far as we're aware. It's all just cinematics, gameplay. They've got the engine, they've got that there, and they should be able to do that. It's in the same way that, you know, Call of Duty are able to pump out so many games or whatever, because they've got the engine there. They can do updates to the engine or whatever, but it's within the same engine. Not always, but, you know. Yes, what have we got here? Board the content vampire. I'm a fucking vampire, mate. See all the good ideas from everywhere else. Well, that's what I do. That's literally what I do, okay? The reason I made that joke up, or me and Perk made that joke, is because I watch so many different streams. I watch all the shit videos. No, motherfucker, you're not anonymous, I don't think. You're not on this screen anyway. Thank you very much for the sub. 23 months resub, oh my god. Oh, thank you. I've been streaming for a while now, and I haven't put out great streaming content yet. It's just sort of like interaction and chatting, and I really enjoy doing this. It sort of like helps stabilize my mind, and it gets me a little bit more engaged with my community, lets me have a little bit more of a bead on what people think. How do you feel about the heat management business as it sits right now? Needs work. We need physicalized components, and we need a flight model to work. We need those two things desperately, and then they can make sure that heat management works. Well, and then scanning needs to also pick up on that. Heat management is overly aggressive in certain areas. I think it's a lot better than it was in the PTU. Obviously, it was broken as fuck. For the smaller ships, there's obviously problems. The quantum travel times as well. Smaller ships, I can understand people being annoyed about the quantum travel times. Yeah, they're ridiculously long, especially with some of the ships. And one of the issues with that is that we don't have the systems in place to be able to make those travel times shorter. Like, eventually we should be able to have potentially other people fly ships from one planet to another for us, to be able to get civilian travel, maybe jump on the back of a carrack or a civilian carrier, and take us from one side of the system to the other in 3 minutes or so, rather than, half an hour. I'm so holding out for the jacuzzi in my Phoenix. I noticed the 890 jump has a pool. It has a whole spa, apparently. How does Star Citizen explain their in-ship gravity systems? There's gravity generators. There are gravity generators. There are proper law on them to a certain extent. I don't know all the law on gravity generators. If you turned off the gravity generator, the water would be affected, and they've been working on tech for that. I know that as well. I think in the Squadron 42 trailer, the latest one, there's water from zero gravity. But I don't know how that's going to present itself. Do you think the weapon attachment system will... What do you think the weapon attachment system will look like, and how will it play? Will it be relatively statsless, or statistic, but graphically sexy? That's a good point. I'm not entirely sure. So we know that they want to have the system where you can inspect your weapons, you grab your FPS weapon, you look at it, and you'll be able to put an attachment on it. It's quite as simple as that. Now, how is a UI going to be there for the stats of that weapon? I'm not entirely sure. I suspect a mobiGlas app for it that will tell us more details about each of these things. But maybe not all the data will be exposed. But it will literally just be, as far as I'm aware, you can take a weapon, you can turn it over, and then you can, in a thought, an item onto it that you've got. But maybe there are ways of using workbenches. Maybe there are ways of just doing it in the mobiGlas app. I love stats. I love all the information possible. Chris Roberts and Star Citizen typically want to make everything look as graphically awesome as possible. So the look at and attach system from that point of view is probably more going that way. But I suspect there's not going to be sort of like no information about the items. I expect they'll be fully detailed. Just wanted to say hi and remind you that your channel is the best Star Citizen channel bar none. Thanks, man. Crimson Funk, thank you very much. Any idea when we'll see the Ranger bikes in the game? So the Tumbrel pipeline already exists. They have a ground vehicle ready with wheels, and the Cyclones are tiny. They could probably get them in. Someone's working on them and free within 6 months. Like that. I suspect we'll see them pretty soon. When do you think we'll see more medium-sized ships? What, just in concept throughout this year? Mixture of utility and military. Quite a few streamers are happy to recommend reckless spending. Do not spend money on ships unless you have a huge disposable income and can afford that. Always upgrade your rig first. Know that you can get stuff in game. You'll be able to get it all in game. If you want to support the project further beyond a starter package, you are a legend for doing that. But make sure you understand Star Citizen and draw your own conclusions from that. Expectations can run rampant with all of this stuff. Everyone has a different expectation of the game. I am very aware that there's going to be areas of Star Citizen that I'm not going to enjoy. So like particular roles, I suspect I won't enjoy particular roles and jobs and whatever. So I will mostly avoid them or pay other people to do them.
Tricksy little hobbitses.
But rampant spending is not the answer. It's not even a good way of showing support, in my opinion. The better way of showing support is giving genuine feedback, playing the game, finding bugs. That's my opinion. Obviously, they do want money. Why are arrows so OP? We talked about that a little bit earlier. They're fast. I actually think that they get hit less by the prediction. The netcode is crap at the moment, so they want to be hitting 30 ticks for the servers. At the moment, the servers are so taxed that they go to as low as like 10. So this prediction, it's client authoritative as well. They need server authoritatives will be better, so the actual hits don't favour the laggy client. They sort of like standardise. But there's a lot of issues. Arrows are a very powerful ship. They obviously are the current meta, in my opinion, especially the value of ships. I think they're fantastic. They're super fast. They're super agile. They've got a good amount of guns, and they are able just to, deal damage, get out, deal damage, get out, deal damage, get out consistently. But that's partly due to because they're not fully balanced and because there's server problems. You know what? I might be able to buy a Caterpillar with real money. There will be sales throughout the year. Definitely towards the end of November, when we have CitizenCon / the anniversary sale at the same time this year. You'll be able to buy it then if you wanted to. You'll be able to potentially rent Caterpillars in game in 3.6 though. How are the hangars being integrated into the verse? So, John, as far as I am aware, there's going to be two types of hangar. There's going to be starports, which are like public hangars that you can land at, the landing zones there. I'm not sure to what extent those are going to be physicalized with putting your ships away. So will they just despawn your ship? Will your ship be taken down in an elevator and stored? That sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do that. The sort of like player rented hangars and the player owned hangars, they want them to be physicalized as physicalized addresses, as far as I'm aware. And that's the same for player habs as well. They want them to be physicalized. So they will have physical addresses which can be visited. And obviously they're not going to have player-owned hangars everywhere. You're going to have them on city planets. You're going to have them on places that have got the room and it's suitable to have them. I suspect there will be some clever trickery when it comes to some player habs and some storage or private hangars. Like some of them might, on some planets, be just an elevator into the ground and it just brings your ship up. You know what I mean? But some of them will almost certainly be a physical area. That's at least that's what they want. When are CitizenCon tickets going on sale for Manchester, England? We don't know. As soon as we know, I'll tweet about it and I'll do a video on it. You can go to the CitizenCon landing page, which is here. robertsbenningindustries.com/CitizenCon, and this will get updated with all of this stuff. So information about the schedule, which I suspect will have all the panel information on, and the name of the panels. Maybe they're going to keep some of those names secret or a little bit ambiguous. More bits on the venue, probably whether there's going to be a bar citizen afterwards, FAQ, and then if you want to watch the live stream from there as well, you can do that. Bam. Do you think it would make sense for the Urza to be amphibious? It can survive in space, but it kind of is. Maybe. Maybe. I haven't thought enough about it. I do want amphibious vehicles, though. Or I'd like them. Any idea when they might be adding more ships to be purchasable in-game for Alpha UEC? So yes, 3.6 looks like it's going to have consoles for ship purchasing. So you don't just purchase them directly from walking up to the ship. It looks like they're working on them, I believe, for 3.6. Also, 3.6 has got ship rentals in it, which I'm assuming are going to be done for those consoles as well. So 3.6, end of June, that's what it looks like. The idea of future balancing between fixed and auto assist loadouts. We know there's going to be balance. We just don't know in what form it's going to take. Obviously, having physicalized components, having that's going to help out a lot, because then ships aren't going to have health pools. You're going to be trying to take out individual components. Ships are much more likely to want to retreat than fight until they explode, and ships are much more likely to be disabled than just implode. So bear that in mind. They'll just keep on iterating on it until it's in a better place. The problem is once we have more of the ship systems that we need in game, like physicalized components and sub-components and things like that, and once they get more fleshed out with the actual loadouts of ships, then auto and fixed is going to change again, and they keep on needing to be on that, which is one of the double-edged swords of the 3-month sort of like regular updates they do, is that they're updating and polishing stuff and trying to balance it for something sometimes that is going to change quite a lot in the near future. I'm off to bed now. Try to keep the noise down, please. Good night. Robert Johnson, thank you very much. You're a legend and a scholar, and I love you. I love you. Do you think a Ranger will fit in the 325A bay? So people have asked, do you think they'll fit in the cargo bays of the 300 series? They are really small. They are really small. We won't 100% know until they're built out. They look like if you laid it down, it definitely could. I'm assuming the racing version is going to be the smallest. I suppose the CV without the veneer, the thing on. I assume that's going to be something that will flip out. How will military grade equipment be available for all ships and slots? Also, hull plating, are we getting armor? So armor should be eventually a thing, something that you can put on ships, you can remove from ships, move it around, and they won't just be a fixed modifier. There'll be a piercing system in the game where hitting something repeatedly in the same place will start to break through the armor there and then go through to the components. That's, as far as I'm aware, how they want to do armor. Armor will be more physicalized. It's not just going to be 1 point times removal mitigation or whatever. So it will be like an item. Military grade equipment. So ships will typically be able to use a couple of types of equipment in their slots. So there's sort of like civilian, industrial, military, competition, all that sort of jazz. Potentially some more as well in the future. And so certain ships will only be able to use a couple of different types of that, of those listed ones. And so knowing what ships... Thank you very much, Anio. I love you too. Thank you very much for the resub. Subscribe. It was very nice to meet you at CitizenCon. I know I keep on saying that, but it was. Good chat. Yeah, so ships will typically be able to use maybe 2 of these. Maybe some ships will be able to use a load more. Some maybe only be able to use 1, for all we know. Like Auroras, maybe they will only eventually be able to use just civilian gear. Do you see what I mean? So military type equipment doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. It means it's best for its focus of fighting and combat. So maybe it's got really, really high output for like shields and like power plants. High output, but might have a bit of a downside in the fact it's incredibly expensive and it's got really high signature. Yeah? I think you have stealth components as well. And then obviously there's lots of sub-components and stuff. But typically ships will be able to use a different couple, at least 2 types of grade of equipment, or type of equipment, because there's also grades. There's A to D grade, C sort of like being the standard, D being super cheap and just typically crappy, underperforming across the board, and then A being sort of like great output, minimizes on the downsides. Typically, I think that's the sort of idea. Might have the hottest heat output actually when it comes to military and A grade, but it might have much better power output as well for a power plant. Do you see what I mean? But that's, as far as I'm aware, their plans for that at the moment. That might change, but there's a shipyard series on their website, which I will bring up for you. There's a shipyard. No, it's not. There's a shipyard. So you just go here, this takes you to ships and roles, and at the bottom of the page you can see info on all the rest of the ships yard series. So this is from end of 2017. This is sort of like their plans for how the different roles of ships will work, and all that sort of jazz, and talks about ship mass and thrusters and individual stuff like that. So they'll give you a load more information on how hardpoints and components and all that sort of stuff are intended to work. Oh, Pilot C, thank you very much for the host. And Motor Seiko, thank you very much for the sub. Love your face. And Spieljike. That's how I'm going to say your name. Your opinion on Game of Thrones ending. I thought the Night King stuff was disappointing. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I thought the evolution of the sort of like character arc of Dany was disappointing. And those are the two main things, to be honest. They had done that differently, even with most of the same stuff. I thought it would have been a lot better. I do have a favourite Freelancer. I'm not a massive fan of the Freelancer series of ships, actually. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go for just the Derv, maybe? I like exploring. I'd use it more of a longer range ship, I suppose. How many more new players do we expect if Squadron 42 is huge and succeeds in mid-2021? Potentially millions. It would prove that CIG can make a game. Even if it's a good or great game, it doesn't have to be the best. I want it to be the best, obviously. So do they. They seem, but we'll see. It would be a huge amount of players because they prove that they can do what they say they're going to do. It obviously shows that they can have financial freedom to do what they want to do. And there are a lot of the problems that we have with AAA games at the moment is that they get pushed out and they're shit. Now, Star Citizen has some issues moving forward. Is that it's going to be seen... Thank you very much, Noob. I am well. I want to talk to you again soon, just as a catch-up. Nothing in particular. I love your face, Noob. Are you back from your... You were away for a while, weren't you? Doing the thing and the stuff, and yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk soon. But yeah, so that would prove that Star Citizen could genuinely be something quite great. And the problem we have with AAA games is that some of them are trash and they get pushed out and they've sort of like been a bit disconnected from their audiences. Star Citizen has a problem moving forward though, a few things like, we'll talk about sub-perks in a minute because that's probably going to be the next big controversy in my opinion, and I can sort of explain how it will get blown out of proportion. But it's going to be seen as development as a service. It's going to be seen as roadmap development. And lots of companies have seen what CIG and sort of like No Man's Sky are doing and have done, and are sort of like trying to jump on that, will improve the service as it goes along bandwagon, and perverting it or changing it, not perverting it necessarily, but changing it towards their own ends. And that's going to reflect on Star Citizen at some point, in a bad way, I think. It'll be seen as like, look at Star Citizen, it just has roadmaps. That's... And I don't necessarily agree with that. I do think that the roadmap gives us a lot of information. I do think it's not something that you should run a company with, though. What else have we got here? Is the coming 890 jump far too clean inside? Personally, I'd like to see wood and details in it. I think it's going to have high quality materials, wood and things like that in it. This sort of slate wood, silly things. Can you still unlock the option to buy Caterpillar on completion of Pirate Swarm, or do they end that? No. So if you complete Pirate Swarm, you have the option to buy the Pirate Caterpillar when the Caterpillar is available for sale. So you'll have that token to allow you to buy the Pirate Caterpillar if the Caterpillar's on sale, and when. How long until we get that sweet server meshing? So they're working at the moment on object container streaming server-side stuff, which is a prerequisite of that. I'm going to try not to see prerequisite as I sort of like truncated into my head, so apologies for that. Lots of people are spamming my emotes. I love you. I'll see what's going on in a second. They're also doing the client-to-actor, client-actor server, client-to-client and server-to-server. They're doing some reworks as well, so that they're going to have server-authenticated, sort of the authoritative prediction and all that sort of stuff, which is significantly better for the future. That means that if you've got a shitty connection, you're the one that suffers rather than everyone else. Which is much, much better in my opinion. And they're also just massively optimizing server stuff. Once they've got those things out of the way, they will start to implement server meshing into the static server meshing phase, which would mean that a planet, a certain area, would all be handled by different servers, and they'd hand off to each other, but they will not be dynamically spinning up and down based on population. This will allow for a lot more people in a game and a much better experience, but is not the server meshing that we will finally have, which is supposed to be dynamic server meshing, which will have object containers literally being able to go, we need a server to run this object container. That could be a ship, that could be a room, that could be a whole city, whatever, and they'll dynamically spin them up and then spin them down. Any info on the Medivac or medical gameplay? No, nothing beyond just the NPC medical stuff, which they're going to have the ability to jab medical pen into an NPC and potentially drag their body. How much will the carrot cost? Wait, what do you mean? What, now? Is it 350, 450? We can actually check how much it will most likely cost in the next sale. You're about to buy it in game, obviously, and that's what I suggest you do. I said do. But we're going to use the ship upgrade system to work out the value of a ship. So we go to upgrades, edge upgrades, bam, here, and then I'm going to untick my ships, and then I'm going to look for the ship that I want to see its value. So I'm assuming it's 350-ish. Maybe it's 400 carrick now. That's likely its price when it's next on sale. Although when it gets viable in what potentially will be 3.8, I suspect that it could go up. But these are the sort of ships you should buy in game where possible. They're expensive. Buy them with other people in game. Fucking interest now, boy. Yeah, so all major patches, the every 3-month patch, they wipe at the moment. Eventually they won't have resets for servers, or at least they'll have them much less, but you do lose all of your alpha UEC and your alpha UEC purchases every time they reset. When do you think we'll see a paint/decal system available for our ships? Potentially with 3.5.1. Let's talk about that actually. So, 3.5.1. Bam. So we've had a couple of things on 3.5.1. What happened to 3.5.1? We absolutely still plan on releasing 3.5.1 and are actively working on it. While I don't have an ETA right now, hang in there and we'll have more information for you soon. That was on the... that was 11 days ago. Well, that was actually responded to 4 days ago. So in this most recent newsletter, which is that one, they start it with, as the development team looks to the future with the upcoming Evocati testing about the 3.5.1, we also look to the past, blah, 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 blah. So we know that the patch is going to go to Evocati. Waiting for a parcel. We know that the patch is going to go to Evocati in the not too distant future. We know that 3.6 is planned to go live at the end of June as well. But we also have 300 series to commemorate the upcoming release of the new and improved 2949 300 series. Origin Jumpworks is pulling out all the stops for the most opulent event yet, the Origin Celebration. Look for more details coming soon. So I'm expecting that with 3.5.1 we will have the rest of the 300 series flyable, and they will have their customization system that they've been talking about. So they've got a planned customization system from the website to allow for customizing ships, I believe, at time of purchase, although it might be after that as well. I know it's going to be at least for the 300 series to start with. It might be for all ships, for all we know immediately, but I suspect it's going to be the 300 series. And that would probably allow you to change the color of your ship, to change the loadout of your ship, potentially change the internals to some degree, some of the items, and maybe you'll be able to do decals and stuff like that as well. But 3.5.1, I'm hoping more than just has those ships in it. I'm hoping it fixes a load of the glaring problems that we have. Like, I don't want to be stuck anywhere in game. I want to be able to, I want my pips. I want to be able to fight ships. I want the AI not to constantly go AFK, things like that. Or become derpy. Or rubber band. So potentially we could see paint and decal systems for our ships then. I'm not sure when we'll see it in-game, rather than just external on the website. Is there any ETA on when FPS missions on Arccorp will be implemented? Also, is there any info on landing zones on Arccorp on top of buildings, but further down the street level? Thank you. They are planning to put in more areas in the future to planets like Arccorp, so more landing zones are likely. And they want to do the interior for some of those buildings. There is no ETA on that yet. How much do you know about Vulkan and when they're going to add it? I would expect them to have Vulkan integration for Squadron 42's release. I'd also expect them to have it for Squadron 42 when it's in its alpha/beta phase. So, and then it will probably be integrated into Star Citizen soon after that. Because they're going to want to release Squadron 42 with Vulkan support, surely. I'm going to want to run it in DirectX 11. Yeah, they could say... So, what did I want to talk about? Oh, we'll talk about sub-perks in a bit, and we'll talk about 3.6. They could make a lot of money off selling skins. They can have exclusive skins and things like that with the sub-perks. That's fine. Have exclusive skins, have exclusive stuff like that. That's fine. No in-game benefit to that. Don't matter. Don't matter to me. And then the selling of skins, like a cool dragon wrapped around an Aurora or whatever, yeah, charge $5 for it. I don't mind. Have all the stuff be able to be tradable in-game. Have ways of getting, doing customization for your ships and stuff in-game as well, obviously. But if you want like super intricate, silly skins, yeah, they can charge for them. I'd be okay with that. I'm willing to talk about that as well. Like, I'm going to say that's the right choice. I'd be fine with it. If you do want to ask a question, yeah, put question in front of it if you can. Is the Hornet Ghost signature allow him to hide, really hide? So, the Ghost has got Void Armor on, which makes it lowers its signature, basically, making it so that when it's managing its systems, it doesn't have to manage them as aggressively, I suppose. It can have them a little bit higher or whatever, without being detected or without the chance of being detected so easily. But it just, yeah, it's a reduction in its signature. Management of systems is how you are going to be able to hide, and any ship can manage their systems to effectively be invisible when it comes to IR and EM. Not CS. CS is literally being spotted. Sort of. It's the cross section. Yay? Yay, indeed. What do you think about CIG letting players design ship skins to be sold in-game? Yeah? Get the community involved with that shit. Now, it turns out that Superman was a ghost all along at the end of Game of Thrones. It was all a dream. Do you think we'll be able to solo and trade with the hull C or escort will be inevitable? I think you will be able to do solo and trade with hull C. I think going into more dangerous areas will require an escort, and you'd make more money even if you had to pay for escorts by going into the dangerous areas. So I think that high risk and reward is just a massive part of trading, and you will be able to solo in a hull E, but it would, you know, probably only be in safe areas, and you'd be a bit annoyed when something at the very end of your ship burns out and you have to run all the way there and then run all the way back. When do I think I can put clothes in the wardrobes? We're getting physical inventories for, is it 3.7 or 3.8? Oh, keep on forgetting. So that was more likely that when we have local inventories at the same time, it's almost certain that they're going to have the ability physical inventories of 3.7. That's almost let me just show you the physical inventories. This is going to have no more magic bags of holding for your player character. Your items are going to be either physicalized on you or in backpacks and pockets that are backpacks and all that sort of stuff, holsters that are all appropriate for the size of the stuff. You've only got on you what you've got on you. You don't have all your items so you can just recall into your hands. So bear that in mind. And that, at the same time, suggests to me, assuming quite correctly, I'd assume, that wardrobes and cupboards will be able to have, and gun racks will be able to be used to place those items there, place armor there, to put clothing there. I'd pay $10 just for that hologram helmet. Well, that is the sort of silly subflare that we will be getting with the subscriber program in the future. So Jared's new job is to improve and make sure that good content is coming out for anything that touches the subscriber program. So that is Inside Star Citizen, that is Star Citizen Live, that's any videos they produce based on the community subscription program, that's jump points and all the sub perks and flair and all that sort of stuff. All the rewards going for that forward for that. So I actually think that Jared is really suited to that role. I do think we'll see some improvements. However, I do think that some things that they're going to have are going to cause a bit of controversy, and it's going to be because either they're really cool or they give it like a really tiny little improvement. They get like you get a rocket launcher. Okay, yeah, you can get it in game, but you get a rocket launcher for being part of the subscribers. That's the sort of thing I foresee in the future, or that hologram helmet or whatever. And people are going to go say pay to win, or people are going to say that's really unfair. Why not have it available in game? So I do think these things, some of them, the skins or whatever, are going to be exclusive because they want more people to become subscribers. That is now Jared's role, to make people want to be part of that. Now, they did specifically say they don't want any pay to win bullshit. Okay? They're going to avoid that pay to win stuff. I feel very much like it's Randy from Borderlands 3. What's his name? Controversial CEO Randy. Randy Pitchford. We're going to avoid all that pay-to-win stuff, but we're also going to have microtransactions. Well, that's kind of fine. He'd say it in the same breath. I'm not going to bust his balls too much for that. Not that it's even my purview too. But yeah, so that they're working on basically some new subscriber perks, cool things like that hologram helmet, like some other perks. We don't 100% know what. Expect a new area to the website for subscribers, things like that. Things to encourage you to want to be a subscriber. But I'm hoping they genuinely do avoid that pay-to-win element. And I know that Star Citizen doesn't avoid the pay-to-win element in general, because you can buy spaceships, and that can be definitely seen as pay-to-win. However, there's a huge discussion on what actually pay-to-win means that people don't understand. Original pay-to-win is literally just referring to you cannot get an item without a huge amount of work, or it's exclusive to people that pay for it. And you can certainly disagree that like, if someone buys a capital ship, That would be a huge amount of work, almost impossible, potentially impossible for players that are solo to get. But they're not supposed to be bought solo. But you know what I mean. Anyway, that's a whole different discussion. Pay to win. I have an FX 8350 and an RX 55 graphics card. When do you think they're going to add Vulkan? I think we could see Vulkan integration next year. I think they're going to have it for Squadron 42 a bit earlier than that. Well, actually next year as well, but I think it'll be a little bit later for the Persistent Universe. Will CIG ever put usable cigars in-game? I need one for my United jump. Assuming that there's no problems with getting a game rated if there's smoking in it, then yes. Do you think Squadron 42 will have millions as a non-fantasy sci-fi PC-only title? I mean, maybe if Squadron 42 also wound up on next Xbox. No, you can see that. The PC is still a powerful title. It's just obviously consoles are very easily accessible and cheaper than PCs.
I'm going to buy so many
chips. Oh, thank you. What's this? Oh, Lotep, thank you very much for the donation. Very much appreciated. Love your fucking face. He said without a comment either. But so thank you very much, Lotep. You are a legend. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, you star. I feel even more guilty that you didn't put a message in. What was I talking about? What was I saying? What were we talking about? I've forgotten. I go off topic and melt my brain. But yeah, so it's quite possible that on next-gen consoles that you could see Squadron 42 as a title, I think now. Looking at their job roles they were looking for last year, looking at the changes for the future consoles might bring, I think it's very possible that Squadron 42 would end up on consoles. However, it would be a PC port on a console, not the other way around. I'm fine with that. They're not gonna lower any shit settings or anything for. That's actually another one. Is what settings is Star Citizen and Squadron 42 meant to be played on when it's done? Is it just the highest of the high, or is it sort of like we want to run it? We're looking at 1440p with everything on ultra. It'd be interesting to know. What do you think about exclusive subscriber flare? Is it breaking the everything will be available in game mantra? I don't have issues with exclusives. I'm probably okay with this exclusive sub flare as long as it's, aesthetic. And as long as that is tradable in game. People can sell that in games, send it to each other, sell it to each other, whatever. I'm probably okay with it. As long as it doesn't get excessive and silly with items like, and this item is just a slightly better power plant. Just slightly better. That would be like, What do you think the Origin event's going to be? Possibly 890 jump showing. Oh, maybe. Maybe we'll have a video that highlights the Origin ships, shows us like a ship shape on them. It might be also a sale at the same time, almost very likely. It might be the coming online of that customization system at the same time, which is very likely. It could be an in-game event as well, maybe. They obviously had a very successful in-game event last year. Yeah. Thoughts on New Bounty Defender as a duo bounty hunter ship? It depends if it can, in some way, take live bounties back. I suppose you don't always need to. Bounty hunting may be dead or alive, or you could just go for people that you have to kill. So yeah, maybe. I think it would be quite a good little fighter for that, actually. Right, well, I'm going to change this video and put some music on. Bear with me 1 second. Editor. Media source. Boom. Squadron. Work in progress, vertical slice. Perfect. I'll put some music on as well. The noob just knew it was 400. Boom. Disco said last Friday's show that there was no longer tech holding them back from making the Caterpillar loader bays lower as initially concepted. Fixed by 3.6? I suspect it's on the backlog, as I believe they said at the same time. So there's no tech technically holding them back, but they do have to hook them up and make sure that the state machine connects to them correctly. So it's probably on a backlog of something they will fix at some point and get in. But you could see it in 3.6. I suspect it'll be a little bit later than that, but who knows? What's the cheapest ship currently in game? To buy, well, it would be the Aurora ES. That was $20 by itself, I believe. Thank you very much. I do appreciate all the love. Oh my god. What's the cheapest ship in game currently? Friendship. Oh, the fucking dad jokes. Love them. What do you think about multi-crew, and when will we be able to see it in game? We can see multi-crew now in game, it's just not great. Every patch will add better and better multi-crew experience to the game. We need shareable missions and all that sort of stuff to come online as well, definitely. And that should be, in the near future, we should have quite a good experience for multi-crew. And generally people being able to use those MFDs and actually make a bit more of a difference on multi-crew ships that don't just have turrets. Any estimate on the Orion mining barge and when it will become fireable? Ballpark. End of next year. Massive ship. Massive ship. If it's needed for Squadron 42 at all, then sooner. But when do you think we can interact with our wardrobe, with the new player carryballs, or physical inventories? Physical inventory is 3.7. That's what I would expect. Do you have a video how to land in or on Area 18? I died trying to figure it out and work back in my little room. Fly to the starport, just above it, full comms, and then work out where the landing pad is. I can do a video on it. Could do a video on how to land all the landing zones, maybe? Is 100 New Zealand dollars much? It feels like a lot. Even if it's not, I don't care. I think it's quite a lot. I think it's probably about 60 quid. Or about $70, maybe? US dollars? Maybe? I don't know, fucking know. But all I know is he throws money at my channel and I love him. Will there be large-scale PvE battles with server meshing allowing for it? Yeah. That's the idea of Star Citizen. PvP and PvE, but yeah. When will we be able to split profits from a joint mission? Potentially, well, I don't think it's going to be a 3.6 actually. In fact, the top happy said it wasn't. So mission sharing and that sort of stuff, joint missions properly, not in 3.6. I'm hoping for 3.7. I want to say Tommy Wiseau play Star Citizen. Thank you very much, Alpha Flyer. I'm glad you love my content and hair. They come as part and parcel of the same thing. Do you think the mission system will be tiered like in EVE with different level missions, or more random like Fallout? So, the way they've described to me the mission system is that there's going to be missions available. Some of these missions are going to be based on your reputation or who you know, and what area that you're in. And then those missions will require you to work out how difficult they are based on their description, based on the advice they're giving you, based on what they're telling you you're going to be fighting. So you read the description, you work out what ship you need, do you need more than one person, do you need a huge group, whatever, and then you go and do those missions. Those mission difficulty levels, you can do really easy missions and really hard missions. They won't scale up and down to you based on the force you bring. They will just be that difficult, and they assume that you're bringing an appropriate response. Obviously, it's risk reward. You can do it with less people, whatever, if you want to, you know, make more money. Since they took the Hornet speciality mount out of the game to purchase in-game, do you think they'll put it back in? Yes, I do. Do outposts show up on scanners? Not at the moment. I think they want stations and outposts and loads of other data to show up on scanners though. Lately, Freelancer variants and Reliant variants, CIG has raised the price of new flyable ships by $10. Do you think the 300 variants will see any price hike like that with the new release? I don't think... interesting. I don't think so like that. However, I think there's going to be a new way that they sell ships, which will be you customize your ship, loadouts and stuff, and paint job before, and then buy it. So I think the potential cost of those ships is going to go up by a lot. You see what I mean? Because you can buy a load of cool components on it or whatever and paint job and then buy it. Would you say Star Citizen is playable without a hostess setup? Yes. I use mouse and keyboard most of the time. I use mouse and keyboard. Lots of people use mouse and keyboard. Hostess is cool as well. It's down to personal preference. Noob 5, for example, uses dual stick. Some people use gamepad. All those control systems should be reasonably viable. At what point do you think the live servers won't be reset anymore? After they have dynamic server meshing in, I think that we'll see no more resets. But that could be a couple of years out before there's no more resets. Do I think that Star Citizen could be as popular as WoW or Elder Scrolls Online? Potentially. I think it's unlikely to be that popular. I think it could be very popular. It's going to have that single player game to support it as well. So maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as popular as WoW now. So the video behind me is of the Squadron 42 vertical slice from the end of 2017. With physical inventories coming in 3.7, how do you think CIG will handle players who have many items in the inventory when the physical inventory comes in? What? So I think that your items will be in portal slot or a hangar or somewhere like that. They'll be in storage there. Physical inventories might allow you to grab stuff from like a holdall box in your hab in the first iteration. That's the sort of thing I'm expecting. Before then taking it to other places. But once it's in that other place, it's going to be there sort of like permanently, right until the reset. Or until you move it. That's my expectation of that.
I'm going to buy so many spaceships.
Words, words, words into guns.
Oh, Murky Water, I love you. And the fact that you're the name of the PMC in Payday 2. I love your face. Thank you very much. That's a huge amount of money. Well, it's $10. It's a lot of money to me. Thank you. Mwah. Oh, you star. Thank you so much. Will I be able to play as an alien, or is it humans all the way? Humans all the way to start with. They said that there was the potential that they would allow you to play alien characters in the future. That would be a long way off. So maybe Tavaran, maybe Banu, maybe Xi'an, maybe Vandal, but
Tricksy little
much less likely with the Vandal. Cow Puppet, thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. What else have we got here? Want to ask a question? Question in brackets. I'm going to go run off to the toilet in a couple of seconds. Actually, I'll do that now. I'll be right back. Shelley, in charge. That was an interesting experience. That had epic Star Citizen music getting more epic while I was trying to urinate. I was like, wow, I'm doing a really good job. Saluting my little boy. Do you listen to Star Citizen Radio, the base, while you play, and would you add it to your own radio show to it? I'll talk to John Tao, and I'll take a look at Star Citizen Radio and the base stuff again in the future. Sort of, potentially. I'm very sort of like insular with my own content at the moment, but I do want to work with more people and get a bit more sort of like community on the go. Do you ever plan on expanding to cover other games and gaming news, perhaps in another channel? I have thought about it, and I've talked to some people about it. Maybe. With other games, I'm always tempted to cover VR stuff on the main channel occasionally as well. I've bought a Vive Index. I'm really looking forward to, is it Boneworks? Boneworks? Yeah, so maybe. I've got my secondary channel, which I will use for other stuff, and when I have Sin working for me as well, we'll probably look at potentially doing some general gaming news and things like that as well. Maybe. I might just save it for stream. Might just do it on stream. Will the Carrack come with a snubcraft and rover? Yes. Carrack comes with a snubcraft, which is the Pisces, and a rover, which is it the Origin rover it's supposed to get? No, what rover is... Carrack comes with a rover. What rover? A rover. Have they said anything about a client API so external devices can read flight control stuff, velocity, acceleration, direction? So we know they're going to want to have modding, and then we know they're going to have obviously the community wants API to be exposed on lots of different levels, the economy level, the flight controls, all that sort of stuff. We're not sure exactly what we're going to get yet for that. We're not sure what scope we have for modding or APIs yet, but they know we want it. I hope they open it all up and then we can make mobilglass apps and they just vet them. Is more org integration coming? Yes, it's one of the pillars of the game. It's something that's supposed to be coming before server meshing and full persistence originally, so I'm not sure if that's changed around at all, but it's organization features, so that's also including group and mission features for sharing missions, but also security for ships, giving permissions to people, literally getting organizations organized, that you can have those groups and stuff set up even before you go into the game. Don't know when that's coming. I'm hoping it's coming this year. Dawson is popular as well? No, that's hard no. Well, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in the future for it. Like, certainly not the beginning, but maybe it's generally going to be a great game. Maybe people will love it. However, I am going to be starting to play WoW Classic again soon. I used to love WoW. I've got nostalgia for it as well. So, WoW Classic, we are going to be playing that, and people are more than welcome to join us from the Discord, from wherever. What else have we got? When do we think 3.5.1 will be out? I think we could see 3.5.1 Evocati this week. And potentially it be out next week. 1 or 2? 1. Do you think they're bringing back atmospheric entry with the original time to come in and out of atmo? No, I think that they want less time traveling in and out of atmosphere, or the ability to quantum jump earlier, as it were. Fucking love the main theme. I will. I'm planning on playing lots of random games with anyone that wants to play them at the time. Like we're planning to do Rust again at some point. Been a bit just hectic my life with my dad, and then my friends having problems with their house, so they haven't been online for like a month. You just get a lot of excuses for me. Yes, I will be playing with people. I do want to get people involved. I want to be playing VR games with people and other games with people as well. A lot of the time as well, that in the evening, I mean, I suffer terribly from anxiety and sort of depression, and sometimes I just want to get away from people, which is quite often. With the final ship damage changes, individual parts can take damage instead of the health system. So yeah, ships aren't going to have a health pool anymore is the idea. Do you think that the ship like the Aurora or Avenger will have more of a chance in dogfights? Don't know until the things all balanced. But all ships should be reasonably viable. Obviously, the Aurora is not going to be able to match a proper combat fighter. CIG needs to hire me. I wouldn't be able to do my content then. Like, you can trust me a bit better from being able to develop my own views and opinions and be able to cover the news at least a bit more neutrally. I mean, I'm a massive Star Citizen fan. I think I'm pretty reasonable with shit like that, and I'm happy to have my mind changed on things. But if CIG hired me, I'd be much more biased. I'd probably have restrictions on what I could talk about. I don't have restrictions. I don't want to shit on my relationship with Cloud Imperium, but at the same time, if I ever learned anything or I didn't like anything about Star Citizen or the game, whatever, I do talk about it. Yeah, I'm a massive VR fan for the potential of VR. It's a shame that there's not enough great VR games out there yet. What do you think about a demo version of Squadron 42 after CitizenCon? Maybe. I like demos. Demos for games are good. That means people can try that game. And they don't have to fucking spend money on it until they know they like it. Will prosthetics be purely aesthetic? I love that whole phrase. Or will you be able to add, for example, night vision prosthetic eye if you have enough UEC for it? Don't know for 100%. I thought, and it's suggested at the moment, that prosthetics are going to be at least more aesthetic than anything else. But, I mean, with night vision and stuff, you'd probably do that with the helmet or whatever. No confirmation either way, really, yet. They're not going to reset Alpha UEC in 3.5.1. Right, I completely get resetting every major patch. They might reset it for 3.5.1. They might. What did you think about using their mocap to capture bartender drink mixing on par or over the top? Yeah, I mean, they want high quality animations. Why not have a team that just goes around getting as cool animations for everything? I think that's fine. Not like the whole studio's doing it. Just some of the animation guys. What racing class will be playing Classic WoW? So, you can more than welcome to help me with this, but we're going Alliance. I know that. And I'm either going to go Warrior, Paladin, Warlock, or Rogue. Are they going to be E3 in June this year? I haven't heard anything about anything in E3. Potentially they could have a trailer go live then, but I haven't heard anything. What do I think for a demo version of Squadron 42 after CitizenCon? I did just say that. I think that demo would be good. I think it's possible, but I haven't heard anything about that. I know they've been working on a broader vertical slice for Squadron 42 from the first third of the game. Which I'm suspecting that's something we might see at CitizenCon. Yeah, maybe just at the PC gaming show. They'd like to have a presence there, because then they can sort of say they were at E3, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Do we have any more questiones? So 3.6, well, 3.5.1 and 3.6 have got some big shoes to fill. Okay, so there is a load of problems with 3.5. With the flight model, with combat, with the AI, with weapons pips not converging properly, ESP, loads and loads and loads of problems. Loads of balance issues. Now, they all look reasonably solvable to me. At least most of that. Obviously, they do want better server tech and that sort of stuff. Maybe we'll get some better server optimization for 3.6. But if they can get rid of the outlying annoying problems, if they can get rid of a load of the bugs with 3.5.1, great. If they can get a solid 3.6 patch, I will be happy. But they do need to get on that. And I've got hopes of that. It's a shame that 3.5 live was not great. It's great technically. Arccorp's amazing. New mission there's amazing. It's just, it broke some of the content we could previously access, in my opinion. It's yeah, there's a good amount of 3.6. And I mean, I'm very excited to have the 890 jump. The Battle Defender is also going to be quite exciting. What else we got that's exciting? Load of the new AI updates for social AI and 3D pathfinding. That's important. That will actually have NPCs not derpy as hell, or at least hopefully. Cover usage as well. Hopefully we'll see some improvements to the general NPCs on the ground. Combat AI. We have some more variants to truck stops. We've got the black market economy. We've got VTOL. We've got weapon attachments. Ship rentals is probably the biggest thing for me there. That means a lot of people can rent ships without having to buy them. And we don't know what ships are going to be available. But we know they're also planning to put in ship consoles so that you can purchase ships / rent ships, I believe. I think they're coming for 3.6 as well. We've got ragdoll improvements. We've got jump improvements. Degradation improvements, so we can actually see wear on items. Misfires working with degradation of items. Pair carryables for cooler interactions with things. Better transit systems, so elevators and trains and trams. The law system in combination with the black market economy should have us having more reasons to be able to steal ships and steal items and sell them, things like that. The law system very exciting as well, having a bit of more of hierarchy of law in each area. Very much looking forward to the 890 jump. We've got the P52 and P72, P52 improvements, P72 coming out. The Vanguard Warden improvements with that patch. The new guns, the new Min V, the S38 pistol. I was hoping that they might still be able to get the Animus rocket launcher in, but it's not appearing on the roadmap at the moment. We've got some Maxox and Neutron repeaters as well. Oh yeah, so network-wise, some big improvements for 3.6. Client to server active networking reworked, so that's making it server authoritative, which is going to be great. Asynchronous disconnection refactor, so that should improve a lot of disconnection issues, a lot of those outliers as well. Distribution and ecosystem improvements. We should see better plots of cool plants and things. I know they're making their new version 4 of the planetary tech as well. I'm hoping it comes out at the same time. We also are getting the shield systems tech replacement, so we're getting the assigned distance field shields. So they are going to hug ships a lot better. They're going to form around damaged areas of ships, I believe, and they're just going to look a lot better as well. Harvestable entities spawning. I'm not sure to what level we're going to have that, and we saw them recently picking up oranges and going, ooh, space fruit. So hopefully we'll get some cool stuff when it comes to how they spawn in harvestables, whether they be plant, asteroid, rock, whatever, loot. Yeah, so 3.6, quite exciting. There's not a huge amount in that patch, but there are some big features with it. VTOL, the hover mode stuff is part of that as well. And then more generally, ironing out the fucking bugs, getting the flight model working better, and not just with the players, but with the AI as well. So hopefully all of that together will make for a genuinely good patch. But we won't know until it's in our hands. Hopefully they just fix a load of the problems that 3.5 unfortunately brought. Is the release of 3.6 going to be delayed since they're doing 3.5 so late in the quarter? So typically, they want to content lock a branch around 4 to 6 weeks before. So it's pushing it, but as long as they get 3.5.1 out within the next couple of weeks, it would be okay. In my opinion, anyway. Will they make Monument a thing at like some point? Like when your ship crashes into something, everyone who's just standing around will fall over or something? Momentum. They've sort of like talked about this from both sides. They've said yes, and they've said no, and they've said maybe. So don't know 100%. I suspect once you crash into things, when you're in a physics grid, when you're in like a planet or atmosphere, you probably would fall over if they hit the ground. Hard enough. That's probably my expectation of that. We'll have to wait and see. No confirmations there yet. Do you think a mechanic to damage gravity generators will likely make it into the game? Yeah. The gravity generator is going to be a thing, almost certainly. Have you heard of haptics? Is that the vests and the haptic feedback things? What else we got? Do you think they'll need to do a balancing pass on ships in 3.6? Yes. 100%. And a pass on the weapons as well. I'd like... Yeah, the arrow is super OP at the moment. You could argue they need to fix the issues for the remaining lifetime of 3.5, but the thing is now, 3.5 won't be around for much longer. That is 100% true. I totally agree with you. A lot of that stuff will be fixed in 3.6, hopefully, but really I'd like to see, within 2 weeks of a patch being live, any outlying major game preventative bugs that can be fixed, be fixed. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that's technically sort of like restrictive or they'll be unable to do, but I was a bit disappointed with 3.5, to be honest, with some of the restrictions there. I love it technically. I love some of the gameplay and stuff like that. It's just I feel that it took away some bits that I could have enjoyed from 3.4. It is a step forward. It's just annoying that I can't do some gameplay that I wanted to do. I'm curious to know when the Apollo will be implemented. Don't know for sure. Would they add the ship as an empty hull and then implement the medical aspect later? Probably. Wouldn't be an empty hull. It would be there. It just wouldn't have the functionality for the changing of the rooms modularly, and they wouldn't have the function. Does it worth in it to buy $100 upgrade on grey market for Miss Prospector or the Crusader Mercury? Get it in game. And if you do ever buy anything on the grey market, just be very aware who you're buying from. That's not supported by CIG's purchases there, so if someone says it's credit card fraud or something like that, then can't get your money back. Well, CIG might not necessarily help you, so they don't have to, and you've bought off their site. So just be aware of that. There are problems. Make sure you're buying from a trusted trader. Do you think the Persistent Universe will be released on consoles too? Potentially on next generation stuff. If it is, it will be a PC port down to a console port, which I'm sort of like okay with. There is no way it's going to be released on the sort of like current generation of consoles. Okay, so this is the vertical slice from Squadron 42. Roughly how much of a discount is there during the anniversary sale, or is it just sale of limited ships? It's the sale of limited ships. Sometimes they have like $10 off this sort of like packages for game packages. Do you think shield tack in 3.6 will fix holes and make ships more viable? Well, I mean, they fixed some of the holes already, but potentially it could cause lots more problems though. I mean, it could cause more holes for all we know. It's working towards their final goal of having no more bugs in the game. But yeah, hopefully they'll give the shields a good enough pass, but the problems with the alpha are that there are major bugs sometimes. Have you had any info about the advanced keyboard config? we know they're going to give us a load more abilities to change our controls and affect our controls in the future, but I haven't heard anything more about it beyond that. Any thoughts on what the next system will be after they finish Crusader next year? So it's Stanton, not Crusader. Crusader's just the gas giant around Port Olisar. It will probably be Magnus or Pyro, in my opinion. Both of those systems would be relatively easy for them to do. Yeah, they might have a load of planets, but the planets are basically moons. They're like single biome atmospheres, and like simple atmospheres. I mean, there's a couple of landing zones like that. One of them's Drake's home planet, so we'll talk about sub-perk changes again in a second. What level of NPC crew do you think we'll get? Mass Effect squads to follow you or stay in the ship? I think that they are building an AI companion system. I do think you'll be able to have NPCs following you on the ground and following simple orders or just following you. I don't think you're going to have to have the same sort of level of talking that you would with Mass Effect or single-player games. But you'll be able to order them, give them basic orders, and you'll have crews on ships as well. But I believe that in the persistent universe, it's quite likely that we'll be able to have NPCs accompanying us on the ground as well. And that some of those will be mission NPCs that will join you for a mission, or that you'll have to rescue or whatever, but some of them might be ones that you've hired. What do you think of the chances of a dedicated Titan suit dropship? Lots of people have said that to me. And that's weird. It's a weird rumour, because I haven't had anything beyond other randoms saying it to me as well. I think it's possible. Obviously, having something that can use Titan suits as part of its focus makes sense. Yeah. I think a dedicated Titan suit dropship is a potential possibility. I'd have it so it could carry cargo containers as well. Have it so its main goal is for planet-side cargo movement, and it can carry a couple of Titan suits as well, like hanging down or something like that. That's maybe what I'd do. Maybe. I mean, you can have. I'm sure you could have Titan suits in a Hercules, for example.
Tricksy little hobbitses.
Jaden Cattrall, thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you very much. I love my face too. Very much appreciated, Jaden. Thank you for the sub. Once we get persistence and progression in Star Citizen, do you think they'll keep some top tier ships out of pledge/funding system so we have something to strive for in game? I mean, we have something to strive for in game if they are there, yeah? But yes, they will. There'll be some ships like Bengal carriers or whatever that you probably will be able to get in game. You work hard enough, or you commission them or whatever, but they won't be purchasable. But yeah, I suspect there will be some ships that are just available in game, especially some of the military ships and some of the stuff like that. Yeah. You could only fly one ship in game, what would it be and why? A Carrack. Really multi-role, allows you to do a bit of everything. You can run it with a small crew of up to 6. And it allows you to do kind of a little bit of everything. Obviously not mining or salvage, whatever, but you can do treasure hunting, you can do exploration. It's going to be a great mission ship. You can do lots of stuff on the ground. You've got your snub. It's cool. Right, you can only have one ship. That would be it. Do you think combining Anniversary and Sitcon will result in less sales? I don't know. An interesting decision. I think it's a better decision for the game. I think that means you're going to have more devs working on Star Citizen for longer, rather than trying to produce, working on presentations, getting ready for presentations, producing stuff for presentations, because you've got all combined into a single event. And I think that's potentially better for the game. It could generate more hype, and it could generate sales directly off the back of CitizenCon if it's good enough. So potentially, yeah. When will a dragonfly not through the floor of a Cutlass or Constellation? I'm hoping soon. Maybe with the 3.6 with the HOV system, getting that in place will fix a load of those problems. How pay to win would the game be approximately at launch? I don't know how to answer that question. There's a whole definition problem. I think there are pay to win elements in Star Citizen. I don't think pay to win games. I think some pay to win games are out of control. I don't think Star Citizen is a pay to win nightmare for any reason. I think it can be a great game even with its pay to win elements. But everything is going to be available in game, and that sort of distribution of wealth shouldn't be a problem. Oh yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, the Titans. Oh, I need to watch that again. I liked some of that. That was a silly film, but it was fun. Is there a timeline for when we can hire NPCs for turrets to run other things inside of our ships? No. I'm expecting we'll see AI modules first. Thank you very much, Dalamars. Legend, thank you very much for the 100 bits. About. Oh, we probably see AI modules for running manned turrets for hired NPC crew, in my opinion. Not necessarily, but don't 100% know. They're still working on the NPCs, getting them working for Squadron 42. Once they have that AI working, once they have the persistent universe AI working a bit better, so I think maybe middle of next year, late next year, then they can start to look at the simulation of NPCs and the physicalization of them when they're in your ships, because they don't want to physicalize NPCs when they don't have to. They want to simulate them. So if you've got an NPC in the engineering bay, but you're up on the bridge, they can simulate what he's doing, and they can have him running the systems there. They don't need to physicalize him, so they need to get that tech in there as well. But I don't know that there's still a ways to go. The aim to make the game not play to win at all, that's going to be impossible. You can definitely argue there are pay to win elements of Star Citizen. You can buy starships, you can buy the in-game currency. I don't think that will make it a bad game at all. I don't think it will be overrun by pay to win. I think the distribution of wealth problem is not a problem in Star Citizen. You can join an organization, the UEE, they've got all the ships in the world. Does that make them pay to win? No, of course not. Star Citizen's not that kind of game. It's a game about stories and escalation, that sort of stuff. I mean, in giant organization wars, the better outfitted, given both sides being perfectly equal, the side that has better ships, better chosen their ships better as well, will probably win. And you could argue that pay to win for that is an issue. But I don't think it's going to be a bad game for the fact that you could buy ships for it. I think that's the only reason that Star Citizen's been able to be funded. I'm not defending that, I'm just saying that's what it is. But if I saw pay to win getting out of control, I could certainly see problems with that, 100%. So, something we need to keep them honest about. That's why I was worried about the sub perks slightly. Don't want them to give little overly perky items. Yeah. Give them cool aesthetic items. Give me a holographic fucking helmet. Give me some cool things. But don't give me an item that is better than someone else's item and exclusive when it gives me like a gameplay advantage. At the moment, it's not pay to win in my book because it's pay to test. You're testing the game. It's irrelevant. I can win in my Aurora by getting blown up. So I've done what I've set out to do. There's nothing to win at the moment. Eventually, there will be something to win, even if it's just clout, systems, or more money in game or whatever. But at the moment, it is pay to test. It is irrelevant, truly irrelevant. At least in my opinion. I'm sure some people can argue the other, but you know. Well, more of a comment, but moving CitizenCon to November, they would potentially avoid an intentional delay to Q3 patch. Yeah, I'm thinking, sorry, I kind of butchered your comment there. I'm thinking that 3.7 will release Q3 end of September. And then potentially CitizenCon might have a very small 3.8 patch or a 3.7.5 patch or just a cool in-game event. Didn't make it for the last few minutes of the stream. You did. In what way have CIG talked about org representation in-game? Representation in-game. What happens if you're in 2 or more orgs? Are there going to be a game revolving specifically around orgs? They haven't really informed us much about organization gameplay yet. We need to know. We know that we want to be able to be organized into orgs. We want organizations to be able to do something. Will they be able to tax us? Will they be able to give us access to organization ships that everyone can use? Will we have bases for orgs? Will we have these are all things that are really, really important, which we don't 100% know the answers to. We can sort of like say, well, they sort of talked about it in this way, or yeah, it's very, very likely there will be a mission system that allows org hangars and the sharing of ships between us, but we don't know for sure. And they're working on all features at the moment, I know that, and deeper group and party features. But beyond that, I don't really know. Hopefully there'll be... I mean, it's something they can certainly talk about at CitizenCon, if they haven't already given it to us by then, or I suspect we'll see more of that in a Star Citizen Live or a Inside Star Citizen. Board running question, do you think they're going to keep the current flight model or build and change it? They're definitely going to evolve it. Obviously, they're adding VTOL to it properly for the next patch, and they need to balance it, and they need to get lots of improvements to it. So they will be changing and improving it. I don't think we'll see a full rework ever again, though. Did you pick up lifetime insurance tokens with the tumble brakes? I have not yet myself. Is it 10th of June? 10th of June, I think, the sale ends. All the Constellation Taurus still include a snub fighter or sacrifice it for cargo space. It, I believe, does not come with a snub or a vehicle. At least by default. I keep getting told to get it in game, but what if 150 items, as example, are only available if you pay money? I don't think... If an item... I'm okay with them having aesthetic items only available to subscribers or only available if you pay. If it's a cool helmet, if it's a skin, I'm fine with that for them to monetize that way. However, if items give you an advantage and are exclusive, then I'm not okay with that. Give you an advantage and they have to be exclusive. And that is bad. That is a bad mix. And it is a slippery slope.
Tricksy little hobbitses.
What is your favourite flight available ship in Star Citizen? What? My favourite ship to fly? Oh, thank you very much. I saw love. Turn back to this. Love you, Dalamars. Love you, a date Haber. Thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. Love your face. I'm not sure if I said cowpod, but thank you. But I do love you. Probably said thank you. I'm a fantastic streamer that just chats. Why is it always pay to win and never play to win? I don't have 1,000 hours to grind, but I do have $1,000. Shit, son. It's going to be interesting to see how it works. Like, I think Eve used to work really well with its system. I mean, you could obviously buy a Plex and that sort of stuff, but you'd still have a great game. You'd have amazing stories. It worked. I mean, pay to win only gets you so far if you're not getting exclusivity, right? As long as you're not, like, getting the best. Oh, I pay, therefore I get an advantage that you can never have. Since they're working on VTOL for 3.6, do you think they will make the Cutlass engines VTOL like they used to be? Oh! No. I don't think they will. How is lose through insurance going to work? If the Orc War occurred, would there be losses, or could everyone just claim their ships again if they've paid for their insurance? So, we're not entirely sure 100% how insurance in the future is going to work, admittedly. We've got some expectations of it, though, based on what CIG have said. So there will be knock-on effects of insurance. Your insurance premiums might go up if you keep on claiming on your ships. You still might have to wait a certain amount of time for your ship to be built and given to you. You might not be able to insure all the parts of your ship, or if you do, your insurance will be a lot more. Things like that. So there's going to be a lot of economy sort of like being stimulated by wars still, and there's still going to be risk and reward. It's not going to be like, well, my ship, I've got the best insurance in the game, which is super cheap. It doesn't matter if my ship dies. insurance at the top level, if you're insuring all of your gear and items and stuff beyond the sort of like base model of a ship, might be reasonably expensive. Chris said that nothing would be pay only, everything would be available in game for all backers. I suspect you'll still be able to trade for them. Was that just a lie? I think it's something that's evolved into something else, just like a lot of the stuff with Star Citizen from 2011, 2012, 2013. The game changes, the game evolves. I did an interview with Aaron Roberts in 2015 where he said specifically they will monetize the game sensibly. They want to sell UEC in-game. They want to sell game packages, and they would look at other ways to monetize the game if necessary. And that could include ship skins. That could include exclusive stuff. I mean, we've had the exclusive items that were aesthetic anyway. I don't think that's an issue. And nor do I think it's a lie. If he said it today, it would be a lie. But it's changed. That's all it is. There's a real hang-up on CIG promised this. And whatever. There are stipulations all over that it's an evolving process. I want to know the most late, up-to-date information from their mouth. I'm not going to keep on calling them out for being lies. Sometimes I fucking will. Sometimes they've done terrible shit in the past. Not terrible shit. They've done stuff wrong in the past, which we did need to call them out for. I don't think that's a problem. Is that no longer true? Yes, that is no longer true. There's the potential that there will be exclusive items that only subs can get. And I did say that this was going to cause controversy. Like, if it's just a hologram helmet, if it's exclusive, people are going to get annoyed. What's your favourite ship to fly right now? In the new flight model? Probably the Arrow. The Arrow's great. Cheap. Makes me feel better because I'm using a cheap ship. It's great in combat. I still have a lot of love for the Sabre. Like, the Sabre is Bay. It's needed to come into its own. Hey, Bored, what do you think we should be expecting time-wise from... What do you think we should... Time-wise from Squadron 42 Episode 1? And what would you be satisfied? What length of play? 30 to 40 hours? First playthrough? Happy with that? 30 hours. 30 hours would be happy with. Maybe it's got reasonable replayability as well. What else have we got here? They didn't even keep the 100 star system promise. Do you believe the Explorer mechanics will come to the game soon? What do you mean? They haven't had time to keep the 100 systems promise. So, okay, the 100 star systems was talked about when Star Citizen didn't have procedural planet tech. So, after 2015, 2016, the scope of the game changed significantly, massively, and it changed. They still want to have 100, 120 systems eventually. However, it's much more likely we're going to have 5 to 10 systems when there's no more resets, when the game's sort of live, and then they're going to add more and more and more as the game goes on. That is just a change in scope of the game. If you want to have less in your systems with a load more systems, but no ability to go around all the plats and stuff, yeah, they could have easily, and the game would be out a lot sooner as well, with 100 systems, admittedly. It's the procedural planet tech delayed the project by at least a year, probably 2. Yeah. Do I believe Explorer mechanics will come to the game soon? I don't know. They need to have exploration mechanics available in each star system. So, because it's not going to be just trying to scan down jump points or anything. It's going to be finding points of interest. It's going to be flying to the edges of a system to keep on going, looking for cool stuff, exploring stuff on planets. It's going to be crossing over with science. But for me, it's going to be probably scanning down and locating interesting things, getting survey data on that, discovering new little areas and zones in a system. But I don't know when that's coming. I know they've been working on the scanning mechanics, but... Hello, BoredGamer. Send a hug to the Brazilian community. I will. Fucking hug. Oh. No worries. Do you think the timing of the $0 CCU purge was related to the release of new cheap LTI token bikes? Not particularly. Don't think there was anything thought about there beyond they need to get rid of the $0 CCUs. They were causing problems. They could cause some people's accounts to break because they had thousands of them. What are your thoughts on the arrow? Too lightly armored, too agile, just right. Needs to be balanced with server working properly so that hits register on it. I can't say that any ship is balanced at the moment until they have physical components and the flight model's a lot more refined. Because that's what we need. We need refinements to the flight model. We need physicalized components, and we need obviously all the bugs with combat with pips not converging properly. But we need several authoritative gameplay and things like that as well. Flamethrowers as weapons? Yeah, fuck it. That sounds great. I love flamethrowers in games that are done right. The best game I can remember ever doing flamethrowers in was the original Alien vs Predator. That's some time ago. Will dual-wielding sidearms be a thing? Not that I'm aware of currently. They've not mentioned dual-wielding. We've only seen single handguns. Do you think they try and put CitizenCon behind a paywall again? Not if they're sensible. Oh my god. So what I'm expecting to have is that we'll have CitizenCon, and there might be CitizenCon goodie bundles that you can buy again, like last year, to support. Boom, done. There might be a little extra item if you're a subscriber during CitizenCon. Things like that. Is the Squadron 42 system going to be in Persistent Universe? Well, we don't know what systems are going to be in Squadron 42 beyond the Odin system, but the Odin system will be in the Persistent Universe at some point. At least as far as I'm aware, unless they blow up the jump point or something. So, with the Pioneer, only a certain amount will be allowed in game. How do you feel about the level of paid to live in a certain location? Paid to live. Oh, paid to live in a certain location. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to implement it all yet. We need to see what happens with it. Obviously, the less safe non-UE zones are going to be Wild West. There's going to be people dropping outposts around everywhere, hopefully not getting detected, but people will fight over them, destroy them, take them over, I suspect. In the UE zones, you need land claims. I don't know how it's all going to work yet. I don't know properly. We can only talk about what we've heard, and that's not enough to make an accurate summarization of exactly how it's going to play. But you promised arguments remind me of little kids throwing tantrum in a candy store. No one promised anything. Well, so, I mean, it's a point of contention, okay? So CIG needs to honour, where possible, stretch goals and things like that. But people are aware that they're going to evolve. It's not... You are allowed to be annoyed about that, and you're allowed to try and hold them accountable for that, 100%. But things change, and it's not a they lied. It's not even really they broke their promise. It's that's not what they want to do anymore. That evolved beyond that. I mean, you can definitely say it's broken promises, I suppose, but I don't think that's a reasonable thing to say. You can try and hold them accountable for things like that as well. Like, if you genuinely think it's a poor design decision to move away from that, that's a much better argument than saying, oh, they broke their promise. I don't give a fuck about that, to be honest. If they're evolving the game, good with that. If they've made poor design decisions, or they've gone in a stupid direction, which they have done previously, admittedly, with certain things, and we're on, the third version of the flight model, and it's, at the moment, not great. But yes, actually, I'm kind of okay with the flight model, admittedly. I think it's actually probably going to be quite good once it's refined. But it's the 3.5 is a bit broken sort of thing. They've definitely made done stuff in the past I don't agree with. But I think it's much better to criticise them for the design decisions and the changes to them because of what they are and aren't, rather than saying, well, I want 100 systems. And that's not... yeah, so do I. I want 10 systems in the game to be working in all the features and sort of like gameplay loops first. And then they can add 100 systems, you know, over 10 years. I don't care. If it takes ages, cool. Each of the systems is going to be a magnitude, if not more expansive than it previously was. But that's just my opinion on it. So, I'm not going to force anyone, my opinions down anyone's throat. I will occasionally have a bit of a rant about them. I'm getting hyped for the Vanguard Harbinger. Are you still rubbing your hands together for the Sentinel? Yes. Sentinel I'm very excited for. Unless they make a dedicated E-warship, in which case I'll buy that instead. But I've got a lot of love for the Sentinel. I just want them to, you know, be good. And hopefully with the Vanguard updates coming in 3.6 and then the actual variants coming in 3.7. Oh, excited. BDO, Elder Scrolls Online, all have things for you if you get subscription. I don't want it... don't want there to be a forced subscription model. Yes, they did. They promised it as part of the entire premise of the crowdfunding campaign on certain promises. Well, I disagree with that. I think that they had an intention for certain things in the game, and those intentions have changed. 100 Systems is a perfect example of that. I would rather have procedural planets. I'd admittedly rather have the game out already, and it'd be great as well. But you see that with Kickstarter projects, and you see that with the evolution of game development and everything, and I think that is reasonable. It changes. It is not a massive change to the game. However, the Kickstarter and the new scope of the game in its entirety is. So I would say that after 2016, there was enough changes potentially to say that it was not really the same game anymore. And I would say that people the Kickstarter backers should be offered a refund if they want it. I suspect that very few of them would want a refund on their Kickstarter, but that's my view on that. I'm much happier with the game as it's evolved. However, I'm not happy with the timescale, but I'm aware and kind of okay with the timescale now. I'm, you know, pretty chill about it. What do you think when do you think there will be enough gameplay loops and diversity to bring in new players who want the game and not a concept? They need no more resets and they need a few more things. So, and next year, probably the earliest from mainstream. Are they doing an event at Gamescom this year? Not that I'm aware of. They've got a presence there with some devs there, and they're doing bar citizens in the evening. Do you think the F8 Lightning will fit inside the Hangar of Polaris, since they're both Squadron 42 related? I think the Polaris will probably be able to hold our Lightning, potentially. You can't quote me on that until I actually try to fit one in. What would you do to draw more new people in after the Forbes trashing the hell out of Star Citizen? I don't think they did trash the hell out of Star Citizen. I think they analysed Chris Roberts and the business practices of Star Citizen, mostly pre-2016, and said, this is the dirty laundry, this is stuff that's inappropriate, this is a lot of inefficiency, there are problems with that. I don't think they talked much about, if anything, about the development of the game. It was irrelevant from Star Citizen. It was much more a business practices of Chris Roberts. Why isn't he showing his wages, even though they've got a huge transparency now? They're still asking for more. And that's Forbes. Forbes do business analysis for stuff like that. And that's what the article was about. It wasn't about the development of Star Citizen, in my opinion. It's obviously connected to it. But it was a lot of stuff that was problems years ago. Personal problems with Chris 12 or more years ago with his ex-wife and things like that. Why is that relevant? It's not. It's genuinely not. And it's all stuff that was old and we knew, but it was all biased and slanted towards this game isn't a scam, but it could be a scam. That's the sort of, well, I was like, okay, that's, in my opinion, that's not appropriate, but it's nothing that I try and cover on my channel like that. I talked about it briefly and just said it's not really to do with the development of the game, in my opinion. and it's certainly nothing we didn't already know, or was entirely irrelevant. Like, well, I mean, do you want to know how much Chris is on? Actually, I do. I want to know how much money he's on, and I hope it's under 600,000. Yeah. I hope it'd be under 500,000. Do you think we'll get the Sol system on release? We'll get it at some point. It's hard to define what release means with Star Citizen. On the ArcStar map, there is UE classified zones. That's typically where there's a fight going on, or whatever. The Vandal have just moved in. Or like maybe there's a black hole or something. That's what we got. Yeah, all this stuff's my opinion when I talk about stuff like this, and I'm happy to know that might not be 100% right, but that's how I feel about it. That's how I want to talk. That's how I talk about it. I can talk about it with other people. But they've still got 100 to 120 systems planned, and they will have to rapidly build them out. They genuinely will, compared to what we've already got. But much more likely, we're going to see 5 to 10 systems when they do like no more resets, and then they'll build in lots more. And when we have like a full genuine release, probably have maybe 30. I think that's probably reasonable. I mean, I'm pulling that out of my ass, but I mean, it's an educated ass and a fine ass. How much do you think it will cost to put the skin of the 350R on the 325A? What? Oh, I don't know. Probably do it for free in game? Oh, I don't actually. It'll be UEC. I don't know. So this is on Odin 1A. Gainy is the name of the moon in Squadron 42. The Odin system. Odin 1A does not. Odin 1 does not exist though. I don't know. It's destroyed, exploded. Boom. It's become the coil. Any wild speculation on the Sitcon ship? No, I don't know. We know that they are working on something secret. I think it's Chris Smith, is it? Is working on a secret ship. We potentially could see Titan suits available at Citizen Con. We could see more cool Squadron 42 military stuff. We could see lots of things. Mine layers. We could see capital ships. There's lots and lots. It might be a Redeemer. I think Star Citizen just needs to keep on doing what it's doing, making sure they respond to the community, making sure they, when they put a patch out, they try and fix the major bugs, the game-breaking bugs. 3.5 is not a great example of that, but hopefully moving forward they can do that a bit better, and they need to get that flight model locked down, combat locked down, and get a great Squadron 42 out, episode 1. That's the deal breaker. Do you think they'll be able to bring the mining tick over from Squadron 42 into the PTEU? Yeah, at some point, definitely. The Sidmus. Do you think that once Squadron 42 starts generating revenue, will more devs be hired to speed up the development of the PU? No, I think it's more likely you'll see contracts not renewed after Squadron 42 has been released. I think you'll see the company move up to like 600 employees in the ramp up to release, and then probably reduce down to about 500 again. That's my expectation. How's reduced sugar going? Good, thank you. I wake up with more energy. I wake up not feeling groggy. I've cut out caffeine. I've cut out sugar. So I do have some sugar still. I had a cheat day yesterday where I had some cookie dough. It's fucking amazing. I only had a little bit, but it was still a cheat day. But yeah, I feel good. The caffeine especially. Like I sleep much better now. A lot less generally anxious during the day and like shaky. That definitely contributed to my anxiety significantly. I'm eating whole foods as well. Whole wheat noodles, quinoa, buckwheat. Lots of things. I'm genuinely trying to eat healthier, live longer, sort out my cholesterol. I've got high cholesterol, I've got a fatty liver. I want that. Next time I go see the doctor to go, fuck me, you are losing cholesterol. You're no longer a tubby BoredGamer. How long do you think it will take for them to build new systems once all the tech needed is done? So once we have all the tech needed done, they could probably get a few out a month if they got all the tech ready. That would have to be that sort of a few a month. Stipulations there being simple ones. The landing zones are still going to take them, the hero areas, the landing zones will still take them time to do. So it'd have to be the more simple ones, which is probably only like a couple of dozen of them. It depends on how they implement them as well. Do they implement them in the same way the Sandland does? So again, that would be they sort of like give you the bare bones of what's easy to do in the system and then build it up. And it would take a lot longer to build those systems up with lots of content. But the procedural systems they're building and the planetary tech that they're building allows rapid iteration and, well, rapid building out of these things. And the mission content should then automatically will be there and stuff. That's what they've been trying to do. Hopefully it will work like that. I do think it will be pretty rapid though once they finish the Saturn system. Once they've built the next couple of systems after that, I do think they'll be able to go really pretty quick into building systems out. How many copies do you think Squadron 42 will sell? Yeah, I think 5 million is probably something they'll probably be wanting to aim for in the first year. I said 10 million within the 10 million would be great for them within the first 18 months. I can't remember exactly what my reasoning was, but I did do some research into GTA 5 and then some actual just focused PC games, and was trying to work out what a good amount for a popular AAA game, I think it was Half-Life 2 and stuff like that as well, could be today. So 5 million would be great. 10 million after 18 months would be amazing. Yeah, I'm okay with them building 100 systems over 8 years, though. Like, that's fine. Yeah, give me 10 in the next couple of years. Great. And then, if I've got no more resets, keep on building more systems out. Cool. Will there be stars in different stages of their lives in the verse? Yes, I believe so. For example, in Pyro, there's really, really dangerous solar flares that will affect your ship, apparently. Yeah, there'll be stars in different stages of the life cycle, I believe. Odin's an example of that. Didn't the planet blow up because of that? Do you think they should release the system building tools when they're ready to us? Oh, I do, but not for us to choose what goes in the game. I want full modding for the game. I want private servers. They said that. I want that. When do you think we'll be able to hire NPCs to man systems? I've talked about this a bit already. They're building the AI app still.
Where am I? What is this place? I am confused. Help me, egg.
I'm also a potato now, Stuff M3. Thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. You're on my stream. We're just chatting about Star Citizen in chat. So they're still building out the AI, and then they need to build out the simulation versus physicalization of NPCs that are going to be running ships. So earliest I think we'd see NPCs would be after, as hireable crew, would be after Squadron 42's release. You wish they'd start working on the Redeemer. Maybe they already have. What's your view on the forced RP in Star Citizen? Eating, sleeping, showering, drinking. So that's not RP, that's, well, I wouldn't define that as RP, I'd define that as light survival. I don't mind showering, but I don't want to manage pissing in the game like I do in real life. Well, so what if some of those things like pissing are all rolled into comfort or rest or something? So if you, whether you wash yourself, whether you urinate, whether you sleep, it all reduces your stress or your the same sort of comfort gauge. So I think that's the sort of thing that we might have with that. And I'm okay with it. I don't want to have to constantly eat or constantly drink or anything. I'm okay with having to do it every few hours, or I get a very light debuff. Cool, perfect, whatever. Looking at the current PTE roadmap, are you confident Microtech and Crusader planets and landing zones will both be in by 3.9? They need to have server-side object container streaming and a load of server improvements in before they can have those planets in. And the landing zones. They seem to be very confident with server meshing. They've obviously got and so server-side object container streaming and those optimizations. I talked to a load of devs at BoredGamer about that, and they seem very confident. They seem that client-side object container streaming was the main roadblock, and they've already done that now. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't think we should see delay in that. Good, but I don't think. I do feel you guys getting frustrated over game-breaking bugs in 3.5, but as someone with an education on the field, I would say it's the stage in the alpha a total waste of time to do it. That's a maybe, but CIG are packaging these patches as playable with every major release. But they are. That is their part of their marketing. And if they're going to do this, then they need to make sure there aren't game-breaking bugs in there. I know it's an alpha. Release those patches later. Delay the patch, whatever. Game-breaking bugs are not appropriate, really. Where possible, anyway. I mean, they're going to happen. It's an alpha. I think we should be reasonable about it, but I don't want them. And obviously none of us want them. But, yeah. When do you think we'll have more ships available for purchase? 3.6. Could be potentially have the new ship consoles for purchase, and we're having rentable ships. Have they ever talked about hero creatures in the verse that we can hunt? Only really vaguely. I did actually talk to some people on CitizenCon about that as well. I'm hoping we see some stuff at CitizenCon. But yeah, they want to have creatures in the game that have schedules, aliens on planets. We'll be able to hunt them, we'll be able to kill them, they'll be able to hunt us, whatever. But we're not sure to what extent. Did you see the picture of the Origin hover rover in Spectrum? Yes, I did. I did think it was super cool as well. We probably will see some hover vehicles on the ground from Tumbrel at some point. They are supposed to make hover vehicles. When do you think we'll get more ships for purchase in-game, and what will they be? Said that in 3.6 potentially. Or are you talking about in concept? Concept-wise, there's a load of stuff that we could get. I actually have to maintain a list on my website of theories. Concept ships. Concept and ship tracker. Bam. Post? I think maybe. So here, at the moment, I think there's going to be a mine lane ship. I think potentially we'll see the civilian version of the F8. Maybe the Spider Miner, Titan exosuits. Potentially we could start to see the Bengal and Pegasus in game. Maybe. More Vandal, Asperia converted alien ships, so Vandal Cleaver, the Void Bomber, Driller, a Heavy Fighter, the Hunter, reconcepting of the Redeemer gunship, lots of potential ground vehicles, and that would be covering salvage, mining, light levels of base building and management on the ground vehicles. And then we know there's something from Aegis Dynamics coming on the 24th. But I suspect we'll see some more capital ships, a drone, capital ship, things like that. I need to update this, actually. What do you think to the idea of CIG copying satisfactory gameplay design verbatim? It's scary addictive, and the best example I can see for manufacturing the game. I haven't actually played Satisfactory beyond, like, an hour. So I'll have a look at it and give you an answer based on when I do. I have paid lip service to modding still being a thing, but given how the PU is supposed to be structured with many servers needed to run the version of the PU, how will modding work? Don't know yet. To be honest, Ash, it might be on a smaller scale, it might be planetary based, you might be able to run it with only a a much smaller amount of players? I don't know. Private servers might be limited to a single system. Maybe. Who knows? Do you feel that CIG are missing out on valuable revenue due to first-time player experience thing being so challenging at the moment? Yes, 100%, Boo Huxley. It's terrible. You have to do research on Star Citizen before you even purchase Star Citizen. Like, you need to know what the different ships mean and do. And then when you're in the game, there's no tutorial. You have to do research, understanding the game. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know to click on the persistent universe to get in there. It's that challenging. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll overcome it at some point. I was hoping that they would already have something built into the game, but it's the funniest bug you've encountered this patch. Had people spinning around and just passing out. Picking up items occasionally makes you pass out. I've had someone rubber banding repeatedly through Port Olisar like a woodpecker. Will ships have their own individual UI navigation rather than using at the moment? Hard to read, mobiGlass in ship. Yeah, so they are redoing the UIs and HUDs at the moment. That's getting a really, really high level sort of like finalized state at the moment, and they've got that in mind, being able to be readable in different contrasts, that sort of stuff. Has there ever been a statement about the risks of data mining versus free range exploration as described by CIG? I don't know. If you want to PM me that in a bit more detail about exactly what you mean, I will look into it though. Will survival mechanics just be buff based like modern MMOs? Or we have... Okay, so oxygen effectively affects your stamina, but also low enough oxygen will kill you. Yeah? You'll just die, you'll suffocate. We don't know 100% what the light survival mechanics will be when it comes to food, drink, and all that sort of stuff that the player status system's bringing. Let's bring this up on screen, actually, so I can talk you through. We've got the player status system coming in 3.8, and that's going to track things beyond health, stamina, and oxygen levels, which we already have. It's going to have thirst, hunger, rest, inebriation, hygiene, and temperature in there. And the way they've talked about these sounds like that eating and drinking will sort of like not be potentially necessary, or you certainly won't have to do it regularly, but you might get a debuff if you haven't eaten or drank for a long time. That might be directly related to your stamina and the how good you are at metabolizing oxygen or whatever. Obviously, you can get drunk, inebriation, rest. I'm thinking rest and hygiene might roll into the same thing, but hygiene in general will just be urinating, taking a poo-poo, a shower. They might all be rolled into the same thing. So as long as you do some of them, maybe you can urinate 8 times, same as having a shower. So we don't know exactly what form it's going to take, but we know it shouldn't be heavy. Or at least it hasn't been described as heavy for survival. Will radiation be a thing? I believe so, yes. Environmental hazards will be a thing. And weather. Do you think CIG will change the flight model? They're going to improve and evolve it? Yes. I don't think we'll see a rework of it. What else we got? Right. Any other questions? You might see the Idris M available in game. You may. Or you would see components to be able to put an Idris P up to an Idris M in game. Or close enough. I'm alright, thank you very much, AstroPub. I hope you're doing well as well. I'm just about to call it a day though. Has anyone else got any other little questionettes they'd like to get in? Are they going to fix the shops on the servers that aren't EU? What? Can we be more specific on that? I know there's problems with inventories and shops. But I'm hoping they're going to be fixed at 3.5.1. 300 series of ships in 3.5.1. I believe that looks like to be the plan. That looks like to be the most likely plan, shall we say. I don't know that for sure, but it's reasonable to assume that. And I suspect that we'd have 3.5.1 go to Evocati this week, and then probably be released live next week is probably the plan, because they're going to want to have at least 4 weeks to nail down and get 3.6 out to live by the end of June. Will there be any types of combat droids in-game? I don't believe so, not at this stage anyway. They want to avoid sort of like AI and combat droids in-game. Maybe we'll see a race that's like that in the future. What do you think they're going to have more female clothes? I actually think we're going to see that in 3.6. They've done a lot more to the basic customization system and getting more female clothes in the game. I'm assuming those female clothes are going to be coming in 3.6 as well. What are you expecting out of the Redeemer concept? And all I know is it's going to be a focused gunship now, and it needs to be pretty cool. It might not even be an Aegis ship anymore. They might have changed it. They haven't told us. They haven't decided. I've talked a little bit about modding already, Ash. I sort of like try to answer your question. We don't know how modding will work. It might only just be for single systems. We'll see what we'll get in the future. I suspect they haven't thought too much into it. Any info on ship rentals? How is it likely going to function? We know that they've been building out ship consoles for purchasing ships. I'm expecting that you just go onto a ship's console and rent a ship. Pretty much that simple, but we don't know for sure. Do you think the game will have massive events that affect the whole verse? Well, technically, even the minor events do. Butterfly effect, like it's a persistent universe. All of those events will go up to the God AI and affect the verse in some way. But yes, I do think there will be major events in the game. Might it be better just to roll 3.5.1 to 3.6 at some point in the month? Well, I would agree with you if they hadn't probably wanted to get the 300 series into 3.5.1 before that. I do poop, yes. And I enjoy it when I do. I mean, not enjoy is not the right word. Right, I am going to go off and get some lunch and then have a snooze. I might try and get a video out today, but I've been feeling pretty rough. I went to a barbecue on the weekend and drank a lot of red wine. But I love your faces. And thank you so much for the ridiculous amount of money that people have thrown at me. It's very much appreciated. And a lot of subs as well. Remember, you can always sub using Twitch Prime or by clicking the join button under the YouTubes or the Patreons. Thank you very much. Like, quite genuinely. It's amazing. If people want to check out NordVPN, I've got a code 75% off. I use NordVPN because I'm worried about the state of my country. And it's more for security and privacy reasons. Because it's useful for streamers to use it. And I used to obviously Shadow Cloud Gaming as well. I love them as a service. I use them on the go, but I don't use them when I stream. But, you know, I love your faces. Right. Fucking plug myself. Plug my fucking shills. Shills my wills. Next month, we have a very special giveaway. Something pretty exciting and big. I'm going to go see if there's anyone else streaming that we can restream. Something pretty exciting. Who have we got? We've got SMB. Who's this guy? Arcsage. Who's he? I've got SMB. I have to get SMB some love. Love you, SMB. Right. I'm going to be over to Super Mac Brothers run because I love his face. Thank you so much for joining me and having a chat. Lots more stuff coming on the channel soon. You know, I try to get some Stars of content out every day where possible. But I love you guys. You take care, and I will see you next time. Peace. Bam.